Let's not waste any more time. Sorry I'm late. It is 22 after the hour. We're going to make a few changes to the program, but we are going to have a program. On your mark, get set, and go. On your mark, get set, let's go.
I can't do it. We'll do it live. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Mister, will you please wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up?
Good morning. Kevin Durant, you should have left California.
This Bronx sexual upset me in having to bring this teenage idiot from Wisconsin into a sports conversation. Are you really surprised that the Cowboys are giving up on Ezekiel Elliott?
Whoa. Hell no! Well, no one cares about baseball.
Bitch, are you for real?
Oh, yeah. Sorry I'm late. Had to make sure the daughter gets home safely. She is at home safe. And away we go. Good morning. Welcome, one and all, to the fabulous, fantastic, football, freaky Friday edition of Snowman in the Morning. Glad to have you all with us. Sam Shady in 11 minutes. Ben Sudderth at the top of the hour. Then we have our picks, and then you know how we close up shop here. All right. I'm going to condense the first two segments into the next 11 minutes. Don't ask me how. I'm just gonna. Here's the Whip Around presented by Fanatics. Oakland mourns the Athletics' move to Vegas, but John Fisher calls it a great day for Vegas. Well, to the city of Oakland, if you had, I don't know, kind of stepped up and given them some better facilities, maybe they'd still be there. Why do you think the Warriors move? Why do you think the Raiders move? The Raiders Las Vegas ponied up for the Raiders. San Francisco ponied up for the Warriors. AT&T Park for the Giants. And that is the end of that. The 2025 Major League Baseball All-Star Game is headed to Atlanta. Atlanta was awarded the Midseason Classic. Has dropped the court case against the Big Ten, and Jim Harbaugh will serve out his suspension of the final 3 games of the season. Bye-bye, Harbaugh, and bye-bye playoff chances for Michigan. And last but not least, Carissa Thompson admitted she used to fake sideline reports, putting the integrity in jeopardy. There's your Whip Around. The Whip Around, as always, is presented by Fanatics, officially licensed everything. We'll go to Baltimore in just a minute, but we go to the Fanatics feedback zone. Good morning to Victor Locke, my dear friend from Chicago. We go to Duval County. The Playmakers Blowout Network said good morning, and he says off on a Friday. Very good. Glad to have you both with us. Glad to have you, the fans, with us. Welcome to the folks listening on WIRUDB in Chicago, even given the late start, WQEE in Hotlanta. And thank you to Ryan O'Neill and the folks at QEE for staying patient with us while we get everything together. Speaking of patient, Cincinnati's going to have a lot of patience because Joe Burrow is out with an injury. And that is that. The Cincinnati Bengals season is gone. 34-20, they lost last night at the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens led 21-10 at the half. Lamar Jackson, 16 of 26, 264 yards. He threw 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Joe Burrow, 11 of 17, 101 yards. He threw a touchdown before leaving the game with an injury. The Bengals believe Joe Burrow sprained his wrist. He went into the Cincinnati locker room with 5:04 remaining in the first half after appearing to hurt himself during a touchdown drive in the second quarter. He grabbed his wrist and appeared to be in pain, repeatedly balling his hand into a fist after throwing a 4-yard touchdown to Joe Mixon. He appeared to wince while making the pass to Mixon. Prior to that, Burrow fell awkwardly on the wrist area while getting taken to the ground by Ravens linebacker Jadeveon Clowney. Ouch. That's after that's after Burrow had just gotten back. Man, oh man. Now the playmaker says he has some thoughts. I'll wait for him to voice them in the chat. We're playing catch up here. I got Sam Shady coming in a little bit. But is this the end of the Cincinnati Bengals as we know it for this season? Because every time Joe Burrow gets injured, beg your pardon, they go into a tailspin. They go into a tailspin every time Joe Burrow gets injured. The calf to start the season, and then this one. Ouch, and double ouch. Jake Browning finished up duties for the Cincinnati Bengals last night. Ouch. Just plain. And then John Harbaugh says All-Pro tight end Mark Andrews suffered a likely season-ending ankle injury. Andrews' initial diagnosis is a high ankle sprain, but the team fears additional damage as well. An MRI on this morning will confirm the extent of the damage. Harbaugh said, quote, unfortunately, on the negative side, Mark Andrews has a very serious ankle injury. So our prayers are with Mark. Nobody cares about the team and being there for the guys more than Mark Andrews. So this is going to be hard for him, but we're going to be there for him all the way. Andrews, the favorite target of Lamar Jackson, was injured while catching a pass on the Ravens' opening drive. He stayed on the ground for a few scary minutes after Bengals linebacker Logan Wilson landed on his leg while tackling him at the 4-yard line. Players for both teams signaled for Baltimore trainers to immediately attend to him. Jackson took his own helmet off and tossed it to the turf. Andrews was able to gingerly walk off the field without assistance, while the Baltimore fans gave him a rousing ovation. Man, and I love Mark Andrews. Damn it. Isaiah Likely will be the likely backup at tight end for Mark Andrews. The Bengals currently have playmaker joining us from Duval County. The Bengals currently have a 28% chance to make the playoffs. That's without knowing the severity of the injury. And all that will come down today. Damn. That's all I can say. And the Ravens sweep the season series from the Cincinnati Bengals. So any thoughts of the Bengals winning the division, they'll have to win out, and Baltimore will have to lose out. Plus, you got the Pittsburgh Steelers to worry about. So competition for the Bengals goes to the wild card now. Matter of fact, why don't we do this and take a look at the standings while I'm using my power of improvisation. The Baltimore Ravens are 8-3. Steelers 6-3, along with the Browns and the Bengals in the rear at 5-5. Inside the division, the Bengals are 0-3, so the division is lost. The Steelers are 2-0 within the division. Ravens are 3-2, which is why the Ravens have the lead inside the division. Browns are 2-2. So there's no chance, I believe, for the Bengals to come all the way back and win the division. There's just no chance. They're 0-3 in the division with 3 games remaining. Baltimore has 1 division game left, and the Steelers have the inside track, stupid as this sounds, to win the division. Because if they sweep the division, Baltimore has 2 losses, Cleveland has 2 losses, Bengals have 3 losses. So the inside track to the AFC Central Division, which is officially known as the AFC North, I know that goes the way of the Pittsburgh Steelers. As stupid as that sounds, the Steelers have the best chance of winning the division if they win out. And that's a huge if. But being outscored by 26 points this year overall doesn't bode well, especially for a Matt Canada-led offense. A break, and then Sam Shady will take us into the Arena Football League and a little bit of Grey Cup talk as well. This is the late-running edition of Snowman in the Morning, back in a flash.
Everything Boston. I love you morons. New Kids on the Block, New Edition.
Dear whatever the law firm is. Sincerely, the U.S. Supreme Court.
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Go yourself again, Jason Whitlock.
Join the transporter to Hades.
Your butt and gut becomes one.
Join the reformer of hooker whores.
This is my daughter, Placenta Booty Johnson.
Join the bronze god.
Whenever you are in distress, take off your baseball cap and throw it in the air.
Join your very own superhero of broadcasting, Chris Bass.
So whatever color crayon they get, they palm it and do 2 circles, and that translates to, I can beat up black people.
As he takes you through the week's paces in Baseline. Live every Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central, Pacific Time Zone people, just stay asleep when this is on live and just catch the recording. Oh, I'm sorry. Exclusively on the Chris Bass YouTube channel. Ready to hang with some fellas who know football? Let's ride. LC Muscles 28.
I think they're the most overrated defense in the league.
Steel Sermon.
We did not trail for a single second.
Tiny Tim.
McCarthy is a bonehead.
A Pizzle 90.
I'm going with my boys. Fins up, baby.
Get ready for the 4 Horsemen of Pick'ems. Every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central on YouTube.
Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Anyway, welcome back to the show.
This job's so serious.
The f*** is that? Sorry, pardon me. My apologies.
What in the all types of blue hell?
This is Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson.
The incomparable Wise. What can you do? Sit back and enjoy the ride. Speaking of enjoying the ride, I want y'all to join me tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. College football now back on the air as the Georgia Bulldogs travel to Tennessee to take on the Tennessee Volunteers in a key SEC matchup. Georgia trying to keep their winning streak alive and drive toward 3 in a row. That'll be this Saturday, 3 p.m. with a kickoff of 3:30. Speaking of kickoff and speaking of football, this man is here. And we got a lot to talk about in a short time to do it. Sam Shady joins us as he always does during hour one of today's program. How are you, Sam?
Doing great. Got a lot to talk about, like you said. Super excited to be talking some Arena Football League once again. It's going to be a big year.
It is going to be a big year. And one big year is coming to an end, which is where we start. We start in Hamilton as Grey Cup 110 graces us. It's the Montreal Alouettes in a surprise win over the Toronto Argonauts, taking on the Blue Bomber dynasty in the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. That's a 6 p.m. kickoff. Are you surprised that Montreal was able to pull the upset over Toronto?
Yes, I am. I mean, I think anybody who watched the CFL this year is going to be surprised. Toronto, they were 16-2, if I remember correctly.
Yes. Yes.
Historic season, start to finish. So, of course, I think everybody had kind of written them off as a Grey Cup contender immediately. But any given Sunday or sometimes a Saturday, depending on when you play, you can definitely end up finding yourself outside the playoffs, and that's exactly what happened to Toronto. Huge shout out to Sean Lemon and Darnell Sankey, who were signed by the Montreal Alouettes mid-season. They kind of solidified that defense, and if not for those two signings, I don't think we see Montreal in the Grey Cup. So definitely interesting season for them for sure.
And also the defense of Montreal set the tone for the East Division final on Saturday. Marc-Andre Duquois with a 101-yard interception return for a touchdown. And if you look at that play and how Toronto was just marching down the field as they always did, but then Lacroix had other ideas. He picked them off, took it the distance, and that sent Montreal on their way.
100%. He definitely had a huge play. Anytime CFL ends up on ESPN, we're doing okay. And that was one of those plays. It was on every highlight reel, everywhere you looked. And it ultimately was a game changer. I mean, at the end of the day, if that interception return doesn't happen, Montreal doesn't win. So, we're looking at a totally different outcome this weekend, and it's a completely different game. So, I mean, honestly, that changed everything for Montreal right there. That play, as well as a couple other turnovers. Those turnovers were completely the entire difference in that game.
Absolutely. And for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they had to struggle with the BC Lions. They won that game 24-13. It was at IG Field, a loud and raucous IG Field. That Hail Mary touchdown by Vernon Adams to McInnes at the tail end at the end of the first half gave BC some hope, but you had the feeling that the Winnipeg defense would continue to lock them down, and they locked them down the entire game.
100%. I mean, what Winnipeg has been able to do over the past couple seasons has been unbelievable. It seems like every year they're one of the two teams in the Grey Cup, and it's just a matter of who they're facing every season. And it's been quite impressive to watch. I mean, I want to say it's been 4 or 5 years now of just repeated great performances by Winnipeg. And I know they didn't win last year. So a lot of people were kind of counting them out this year, thought they would fall off a little bit. Here we are again with them in the Grey Cup again. So it's unreal to see how they've done the last couple seasons. The front office there has built just a perennial powerhouse. Every year they lose players. They bring back, middling free agents and build around them. And it seems like every year, no matter what happens, no matter who they lose, they're going to be one of the best teams in the league. And it's been very impressive to watch. Very few times do you actually see true dynasties, but I think Winnipeg is definitely a true dynasty.
Two players to watch for Winnipeg, and Ryan McCarthy and I noted this last Saturday. Brady Oliveira, who led them in rushing, and, of course, the veteran Zach Collaros. When the Winnipeg Blue Bombers signed Zach Collaros as a free agent, you could see that dynasty begin to build. Now you add a great running back in Brady Oliveira. Man, they got offensive weapons for days. But around those two, They built like you said, Sam, an absolute powerhouse.
100%. And that's one of the big things that they've done really, really well is bringing players in, letting them learn the game and, kind of develop over time. I mean, Brady Oliveira, if you look back a couple seasons ago, his rookie year, he didn't do a whole lot. I want to say he had about 400 rushing yards, and he had shown some flashes. There was some idea that he could be a starter down the line, but, they definitely stuck with him, gave him the time that he needed to really truly develop into the player he is now. And you look at him now, and he might be one of the best offensive skill position players in the entire league. So that's a huge, huge win for them. They just continue to find players no matter how they do it. And it's one of those things where I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. They seem to have a really good formula.
It's not. It is not going to stop. And now for the main event. The Arena Football League is back. It starts in the spring. I know you and I have talked about this on and off the air. How exciting is it to see this league back in motion?
Oh, I'm very excited. I know there's been a lot of doubters this entire time because there's been a lack of information this entire time, but that is no longer the issue. We have all the information at hand that we possibly want. We have the entire schedule, and we have some very interesting things that kind of poke their heads out as soon as those schedules came out. So I'm definitely interested to see how everything goes. One of the big things that I want to point out to everybody who's watching, they did not release dates for the schedule.
Right.
Why do you do that? You look at the situation with the league, that a lot of these teams were finalized very late in the game, up until like a couple days ago. And I can tell you this with great certainty, because I know there was a couple other teams that were really trying to make it in 2024, and it just did not work out. And they waited till 2025, that being the Arizona Bandits and Chicago Rush, both having to put off till 2025. But on top of that, the one big takeaway that kind of stuck out to me was the Philadelphia situation. If you look at their schedule, not one of their games is listed as an away game.
Right.
What does that mean? Obviously, they're not at home every week. Basically, what the commissioner had said is Philadelphia is heading into 2024 season with the possibility of being a travel team. That's huge. That's huge in a bad way. You definitely do not want one of your marquee franchises in 2024 acting as a travel team. You want to be able to build on the fan support that Philadelphia Soul once had. And you don't do that when you're playing all your games across the country, but not in Philadelphia. So I'm really hoping they get that situation figured out. I know they're exploring other options with venues. There's a couple different venues there they can use. I also know that I don't put it past them to find a solution for this because, very, very smart people are running that team. Very, very wealthy people are running those teams. And there's a reason they got invested. It wasn't because of the fact that they wanted to sit on the sidelines and watch everybody play home games when they didn't. So definitely expect there to be a solution to this before 2024.
So were there like scheduling conflicts with Philadelphia playing at the Wells Fargo Center, which of course is the home of the Flyers and the 76ers? Were there some scheduling conflicts that they haven't solved yet?
To be completely honest, I think that's exactly what it is. I think a big reason why we don't see an announcement of a venue for them currently is because of that. I think Wells Fargo was their target arena. I know that there's been some talks that they might build an arena down the line, which obviously if you've got that kind of money, you're doing okay. So definitely not concerned about this. I know a lot of people are. I personally think that the AFL, for lack of a better term, felt a little pressure. They felt a little pressure to get some information out there because all the fans who are not 100% sold on the league yet were barking about the lack of information. So you put out a huge information drop all at once, even if it's not something that's set in stone where, you have dates, you have locations, all of this stuff. It gives the AFL some time. Now they don't have fans clamoring for something. They gave us something. so we can kind of sit back, break down the whole schedule, figure out where every team's going to be, and kind of go from there while they figure out everything behind the scenes. I mean, it's only November 17th today. We have until April 27th before kickoff. Philadelphia has another almost 6 months to figure out their stadium situation. So, again, I'm not at all concerned about that.
Let's take a look at the East Division. Of course, you mentioned the Philadelphia Soul. The Minnesota Myth will play out of St. Paul. Nashville Cats, and a piece of news that you broke on this show. And, of course, the Albany Firebirds. It's exciting to see the Firebirds back, the Soul back. Minnesota had the Fighting Pike for a while when they played at the Target Center. And, of course, the Nashville Cats. Pretty loaded East Division.
100%. I mean, you look at every team in this division in particular, and every one of them is a legacy city. Nashville Cats returning for 2024, Albany Firebirds, Philadelphia Soul, and Minnesota. Granted, it's not the Fighting Pike. I know a lot of people wanted to see them back, but you get the Myth, which personally I think is a better name. That's my personal opinion. Please, nobody come after me for that. But definitely excited to see this division in particular. You look at all the coaches that have been hired so far. You got Ricky Fogey over there in Minnesota. He's a longtime quarterback, guy who's definitely going to be connecting with his players well because he's a former player himself, played some time in the AFL, coached quite a bit at the high school level. So definitely excited to see what he can do with the team. Philadelphia Soul hired probably one of my favorite coaches in the indoor game, Patrick Pimmel. Probably one of the best team building general managers, director of player personnel in the indoor game. Granted, I'm a little biased because I have a great amount of respect for the guy, but he is a great coach, great team builder. He had his hand in building that Omaha Beef team last season, then went 12-0 and won a championship. So, if you have any qualms about what he can bring to the table, that's a little bit of his background. And then Albany. Man, oh man, Albany. Look at the roster they are building there with the Firebirds. Damon Ware and company are not messing around. They're coming for a crown in year one.
Man, I can't wait to see this entire league. To the South Division that features the Louisiana Voodoo, Orlando Predators, West Texas Desert Hawks, and the Georgia Force. Georgia Force trying to get everything together as well. Same with Minnesota figuring out their division and where Georgia's going to play. The Orlando Predators, another legacy franchise, playing at the Amway Center in Orlando. Louisiana playing in Lake Charles. West Texas Desert Hawks playing out of Odessa, Texas. I tell you what, man, this whole league is loaded, and the South Division is going to be pretty fun to watch with the teams they're putting together.
100%. Another situation where you see a lot of guys that have ties to the areas that they were just hired in. The Louisiana Voodoo head coach, James Shiver, longtime coach in that area. He has coached high school and college at that level. He's also coached the last indoor team that was based in Lake Charles as well. So a lot of experience there. One-time team and league owner as well. So valuable experience coming with him. You look at Orlando, they got another former AFL player, EJ Burt, former defensive lineman for the Predators. So a little bit of a feel-good story there with him getting promoted to head coach this season. Last year, he was operating as the offensive line, defensive line coach for him. You look at the Desert Hawks. Granted, this is not a legacy team, but they got a very strong, what I would call kind of a powerhouse coach for this first season, and that's Chris Siegfried. Chris Siegfried, for anybody who isn't aware, is the former National Arena League commissioner. So you get him on board. He's got a lot of experience with running a league, how to kind of keep it afloat. He's dealt with a lot of adversity over the past couple seasons with the Antonio Brown situation. And I think that he's going to be a very valuable asset to the league as a whole because of his experience with the NAL. And then finally, the Georgia Force. You got Ramon Robinson out there. Granted, he is not from Georgia. He's from the South Carolina area. He's very, very knowledgeable. He is a quarterback guru. So a couple interesting names to watch that he could bring in as his quarterbacks. And just to give you an idea of what kind of caliber of quarterback he's working with, Kelly Bryant retweeted our interview with him because he had once trained with him. So just kind of give you an idea. He works with some very high-level quarterbacks. I expect quarterback to be a very interesting position for his team in particular.
To the Central Division that features the Iowa Rampage, the Salina Liberty playing out of Salina, Kansas. Kansas gets a second team in the Southwest Kansas Storm playing out of Dodge City, and the Wichita Regulators that are playing in Park City. So Kansas gets 3 teams. The Rampage come to Iowa. I'm a little disappointed, but I'm also biased that I don't see the Iowa Barnstormers here. But you do get the Iowa Rampage. Pretty good size arenas for all 4 of these teams. And again, it's 4 sets of wild cards, but they're gonna have a lot of fun. They're gonna have a lot of fun playing. I just feel it.
100%. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there with the sentiment that everybody's a little disappointed that the Iowa team is not the Barnstormers. But unfortunately, after some discussions from myself and some people in Iowa with the Barnstormers, there was never any real consideration for them to leave the Indoor Football League. They have a pretty cush deal there. They have lots of fans that they're following them very closely. It just didn't make a lot of sense for them to make the move. There wasn't much to gain for them in particular. They're already very established in the league that they're in. But the Iowa Rampage are kind of an interesting team. For anybody who doesn't know or hasn't been following it quite as closely as I have, up until a couple months ago, Iowa Rampage were under a completely different name, completely different ownership group. They were owned by Don Montero, who owned 2 teams in the American Indoor Football League, the Cedar Rapids River Kings, and then also the River City Rage, which then was sold to Trevor Burdett. Trevor Burdett, for anybody who doesn't know, was an owner of the Topeka Tropics last season. Topeka had a lot of issues. Trevor ended up ultimately leaving Topeka. He had originally told everybody he was not going to be in team ownership ever again. He ends up buying into the River City Rage, immediately rebranding to the Iowa Rampage, and immediately moved to the Arena Football League. There was no qualms about it. They knew exactly where they wanted to be from day one, and they ended up there. So definitely interesting franchise. Their coach, Brandon Henderson, if you like fiery, confident coaches, that is the coach for you. He is not going to back down from anybody. He definitely thinks he has the best team in the league, regardless of the fact that he's not even done with his roster yet. But one of those guys that you can definitely rally around as a player. As far as the 3 Kansas teams, this is 100% a side effect of absorbing the CIF, the Champions Indoor Football League. I think this was possibly their best course of action to create a strong and stable league right away, because of the fact that you bring in 3 established teams, 3 teams that are on the rise to a certain extent. You have some questions about Southwest Kansas, but they get a really good local coach, former Dodge City Community College head coach. And then over there in Wichita, they haven't hired a coach yet, but they went all the way from semi-pro to AFL in 1 season's time. So definitely interested to see how they can make the leap. Excuse me. And then you want to talk about another powerhouse addition to the AFL. You talk about Heron O'Neill, current Indoor Football League Hall of Fame member, 2-time championship winner with the Billings Outlaws in the IFL. And then he turned around and went over to Salina, won some CIF championships, and now he's chasing a championship in, I believe, his 4th different indoor football league. So definitely excited to see what he can do. He's built a really strong roster so far. His quarterback position in particular is very interesting. But yeah, there's going to be a really good competition in this division, and it's going to be kind of the battle of Kansas to see which team comes out of that state this year.
Now to the Wild Wild West. The Billings Outlaws, Oregon Black Bears, Rapid City Marshals, and the Washington Wolfpack comprise this division. A few teams that you yourself are very familiar with. The Billings Outlaws being one. They're playing at the Metro Park First Interstate Arena. Then you got the Oregon Black Bears, Rapid City Marshals, and the Washington Wolfpack playing out of Everett, Washington. Again, you have some legacy teams within this league, but you got some wild card teams as well, and some of them could be housed in this West Division.
100%. You know, for anybody who's primarily an Arena Football League fan, you look at these 4 team names and you probably don't recognize a single one of them. There's a reason why, because the Billings Outlaws, despite the fact that they're an established team, they've never played arena-style football before. It's always been indoor football, whether it was the Indoor Football League or the Champions Indoor Football League. So definitely kind of interesting to see how they'll adapt. I can tell you right now, I fully anticipate them to be a championship contender this season. I've seen the roster that they've built, despite the fact that there has not been a single player announced. Just wait, Billings. Just wait. I assure you, you're going to be very excited when you start seeing some of the players come out. I know Coach broke the news that Denarius Antoine, a budding celebrity in the city of Billings, will be one of their main first players brought back, running back, fullback, long snapper type guy. So he is easily one of the best players in the league already. It doesn't matter who else is in the league, simply because what he can do on defense and offense. I'm very excited about that roster in particular. If you want to look at another high energy, just firework, spark plug, whatever you want to call them, you look over at Washington Wolfpack, J.R. Wells. Holy cow, that guy has some unrivaled energy around him. He is basically 100% positive all the time, thinks he's, his team is going to be the greatest team known to man. And he's very, very excited about the AFL, which I think is infectious. You talk to these coaches, they're excited. So honestly, it's kind of made me even more excited. I literally interviewed all 4 of the coaches in the West Division already, so go check those out. Rapid City, you go over there. A little bit of a budding rivalry between Billings Outlaws and the Rapid City Marshals. Not only did both teams play in the Champions Indoor Football League last year, but Rapid City hired Sean King. Sean King led the Billings Outlaws to the playoffs last season in the Champions Indoor Football League, but was not retained as the full-time head coach. So a little bit of an interesting situation there. And then finally, you look at the Oregon Black Bears. And the Oregon Black Bears are going to be a solid team. I will give a little bit of information here. I can't give any names, but watch for them to be one of the biggest teams in the league in terms of overall size of their players. They got a couple players that are just unbelievably tall or unbelievably large for the positions they play. And I think, honestly, a lot of these guys are gonna shock some people in this upcoming season. Anytime you see a wide receiver listed at 6'9", it piques some curiosity.
Oh yeah. Can't wait. Can't wait for this to happen. I'm going to be heavily involved in covering the Arena Football League, working with Sam and the Shady Sports Network. It's going to be a lot of fun. And keep your eyes peeled, folks, because I may be at a few of these arenas with my trusty computer writing a few articles. So we're going to have a lot of fun. And if all goes well, my concentration will be in the West Division. That's our look at the Arena Football League for 2024. That is Sam Shady, as he joins me every Friday. Sam, always a pleasure, my friend.
Absolutely. Super excited to be talking AFL football once again. Looking forward to it. Got a long way to go. There's still a lot of questions to answer. So I have no doubt that we'll be talking more AFL news in the upcoming weeks. I know there's some more news supposed to come down today, but I'll let you guys kind of hear the announcement to get that stuff.
Can't wait to hear it. Can't wait to see it. Thank you, Sam, very much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate all your help.
I will just throw the hint that me and one of the West Division franchises are going to be very close friends, and it could happen very, very soon. I'll give you more as time goes on. Back after this.
Where did the time go? I don't know how I got here.
You've done the hard part. You quit smoking. Now do the easy part and get scanned for lung cancer. If you smoked, you may still be at risk, but early detection could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
If you talk and they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
He was only 58 years old when he passed away. That outcome could have been different.
Colorado happens to be one of the worst states for radon levels.
It's in our ground and it seeps up.
The more you breathe radon, the more chance you have of DNA being hit and the cell mutated. The EPA estimates 22,000 lung cancer deaths a year caused by radon.
We all make choices. When it comes to alcohol, kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad.
Bye-bye.
Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Have fun. Hey, have a seat for a second. Remind me about that party again?
Alex is just...
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. They want guidance and honest answers to their questions. And it makes a difference when the message is consistent and part of everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Mister? How do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Anyway, welcome back to the show.
How can I make a programming note and I'm not up here? Programming note coming tomorrow. It is the Georgia Bulldogs and the Tennessee Volunteers. 3 p.m. Eastern starts our fan chat. 3:30 for kickoff. Here's Ben. Second half of this Friday edition of Snowman in the Morning. It's all football all the time. And don't forget, tomorrow, the Georgia Bulldogs and the Tennessee Volunteers will do battle at Neyland Stadium. Yours truly will have the alternative play-by-play call, and we'll start our broadcast at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central Time. So stay tuned for that. And also stay tuned for this. The man in charge of the BS3 network that houses this humble show has joined me. Ben, how are you, my friend? Good morning.
Hey, doing good. It's been a little while, but glad to be back on.
Hey, glad to have you back, and we're getting all this together, and thank you for being patient with us. Yeah. I begin with something that'll put a big smile on your face. The Texas Rangers are the world champions.
Yeah.
If you are feeling anything like I was feeling in 2005 when my White Sox won it and I had a chance to celebrate that with my dad before I lost him to prostate cancer, y'all haven't come down yet from that bit of news.
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, this was a great achievement, but also it was the fact that they didn't have DeGrom, which they paid so much money on. They didn't have Scherzer. And they just mowed down everybody. And so this is great and the first time ever. And it's that redemption finally, from 2010 and 11. and they finally, were able to bring it home. So it was a great experience.
Eric Nadel, the fabulous voice of the Texas Rangers, Hall of Fame voice, said it best. Ranger fans, you are not dreaming. I had a chance to listen to the final out. I listened to the entire broadcast just to hear how he would sound. And if anyone that's followed Rangers radio this year, as I have, Nadel stepped away for the first 100+ games of the season to deal with mental health and his anxiety. And as a radio announcer myself, you would think there wouldn't be that much of a problem, but people don't understand. And I want to touch on this with you. People don't understand when you're with a team, as long as Nadel has been with the Rangers, been with them since 1979, there are times where you have to question why you were doing this. Now, we won't know the full reason of why he stepped away. He did reveal that he had to deal with some mental health issues and some anxiety issues. But I know it had to be a thrill and a half for the Ranger Nation to hear him on the call when the final out was made in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah, it was nobody better than him. It had to be him because he's been doing it for so long. He's been around the organization for so long. And yeah, Eric Nadel is a legend here in Dallas. And so I'm great that he was able to experience it. And he was a perfect guy for the call. Couldn't have been any better.
It's kind of like what the Phillies had in 2008 when they won it, and Harry Callis actually had a chance to voice it, because when they won it in 1980, it was just the national broadcast, and he was not able to call it. As I mentioned, with me hearing John Rooney make that final out call in 2005, of course, with Robert Ford with the Astros, and now to have Eric Nadel have his seat at the table. Mutual friend of ours and Megan Price. I know she hasn't come down yet. She's a long time Ranger fan. How crazy was it in the area when the final out was made?
Yeah, it was wild. It was wild because the fans of this team and this area, we haven't really had a champion since 2011. That was the year of the Mavs. So it's been 12 years that this area has had one. So it was just crazy. The parade was crazy. Obviously, fans, when they get excited, they start throwing trash cans and doing all types of things. But, this city needed that. And also, I think, it put some pressure on some other teams in this area. Probably know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So, yeah, this was a championship that was needed. And the Rangers, they put everything into it. They put everything into this year. Money, time, effort. They got Bochy. I mean, Bochy, man, that's the best thing that happened to this team in the past 10 years. And I said that earlier in the year. So he definitely showed that his calmness, his demeanor, and his experience went, leaps and bounds. And that's really what they needed throughout this entire run.
The Rangers have won it all. And speaking of winning it all, the last team to do it, Ben just mentioned, the Dallas Mavericks. 2011 was when they did the deed. Of course, they vanquished Miami in 6 games, and the early season returns have been very positive for the Mavericks.
Yeah, it's been really good. They're 9-3 right now. They just beat the Wizards, which that would be similar to the Cowboys beating the Giants. That's a team you should beat. But I think the confidence is continuing to build and continuing to grow when it comes to Luka and Kyrie and Derek Lively. What a pick he was. And there's some comparisons to Tyson Chandler. I'm not going to say that he is Tyson Chandler, but I am going to say Luka and him partnering up and him playing well on the pick and roll and just doing whatever is needed to be done. That's the type of center that you need. I think, rim protection is still something you can get better on, but the season's still early. And they're right now showing that they are definitely going to make some noise in the West, which is what fans want to see.
Derek Lively and Luka Doncic, and sometimes Derek Lively and Kyrie Irving, a frightening pick and roll and maybe a triangle situation. The Dallas Mavericks, one of the top scoring teams in the NBA, and they're also doing it defensively. Speaking of defense, that's the calling card for the Dallas Stars. They face the Colorado Avalanche this coming Saturday. Then they got the Rangers coming, and then the Stanley Cup champion Golden Knights behind them. This is going to be a difficult stretch for the Stars, but if there's a team that can keep up, it is Dallas.
Yeah, it definitely is, and they're right now first in that Central Division. I think Duchesne was a huge addition in the off season, coming over from the Predators. So it's great to see his contribution. Miro Heiskanen, who's probably got the most, the top in average minutes. I mean, the guy's just a machine. And yeah, this team does have a rough stretch, but Pete DeBoer, who I think is the best, well, I would say best coach, but I'm gonna put him behind Bochy now, second best coach in DFW, and he has that same type of demeanor. He's able to really coach the players up and the young talent that they have. So yeah, if any team can do it, it'd definitely be them. They're on a 4-game winning streak. So
let's stay in the NHL. Give me your early thoughts on this man, Connor Bedard from the Blackhawks, and what he has done so far, and that young Blackhawks team being revived after losing Taves, who went into free agency, and Patrick Kane, who was traded to the Rangers. It just seems like they changed coaches, they got management in order, and now they're starting to come together also. This is a scary Blackhawks team. It's early in the season, but this is a scary Blackhawks team that can make a playoff run.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And drawing a parallel again to the Stars, Wyatt Johnston, who's a young athlete as well. The young Stars are starting to emerge, and I think show their creativity, and their game is starting to rise. And it's showing with a lot of these young stars. So you definitely, Connor Bedard, I definitely agree with that. At 18 years old, 9 goals, 4 assists on the year so far. I mean, that just shows that I think that organization as well is wanting to get back to that prominence and where they were at for so many years.
When he collects that first hat trick at home in the United Center, I hope to either be there, or B, I hope to be on a live stream call for that game. It's going to be nuts when that first one happens. Speaking of happens, this happened this past Sunday. The Cowboys beat the Giants 49-17. But Ben, you and I have said it all. We were saying it after the draft, and we were saying it during the summer, and we're saying it now. When it's teams less than the Cowboys, they feast. When it's playoff contenders, it's a famine. San Francisco, Philadelphia. The loss to Arizona is an aberration. We all know that. But when they go up against good teams, they're not good. So they pick up a win against the Giants, but now they're coming into their tough part of the season.
Right. And I think that the biggest thing is, Cowboys fans, you have to be logical and use reason. And yes, they're supposed to beat the Giants. You can pat yourself on the back for a quick minute, but they had Danny DeVito's nephew out there playing quarterback. So what did you expect was going to happen? Did you expect the Giants were going to somehow become this great team in the NFC? No,
right.
They're on their third quarterback. So I think this is one of those where you say, okay, you did what you were supposed to do, but yeah, the real test is going to come when it comes to Buffalo, when it comes to Miami, when it comes to Philly. That is when the real test is going to come, and that is what Cowboys fans should be concerned about. You shouldn't be too high on these games against the Giants, and they got this game coming up this week against the Panthers. You need to be concerned about these upcoming games against the Eagles, which you play on Sunday night. And then, those are the games that you really need to be concerned about. And the Lions too. Like Dan Campbell, what he's done with that team,
incredible.
This shows
incredible
his grit. And he was in the conversation for the Cowboys job. So yeah, this game means something. Them beating the Giants, but it doesn't mean a lot.
And then you got this on Thanksgiving when you face an old foe in the Washington Redskins. That's a 4:30 kickoff from AT&T Stadium, 4:30 Eastern time. It's the usual Thanksgiving game with Dallas. You would think, and I've said this before, and you've been with me, you would think that they'd be ready for this game. You don't want to look past the Panthers, but when you look at the Washington Redskins, yes, I know they're the Commanders, but we got to think ahead here in the pending name change that's going to happen after this season, and they clean house and they get a new staff and they get a new staff in there. They're going to bring back the old guard in terms of the name and in terms of the fandom. You have to be ready for a team that is going through a transitional year. It's going to have a transitional offseason. It won't be as turbulent as it was in the past. They have nothing to lose because no one's predicted them to do anything within the division. And yet here they are hanging right there with a chance to nab a playoff spot. The Redskins are playing like they have absolutely nothing to lose. Inconsistent, but they have nothing to lose.
Right. That's true. I mean, they were close and almost beating the Seahawks. They lost by 7 against the Eagles. I mean, so this isn't they're 4-6, but this isn't a garbage team. And the Cowboys have to realize that this is they know so well, it's an in-division rival. It doesn't matter what the records are. They're going to play their best football in at least these 2 games that they play the Cowboys. So, they're not on the rise, but I do like Sam Howell. I do like that the offense. I think the defense they've already traded away, as you know, Chase Young, which is, oh my God, I'm not looking forward to that matchup because I know the Cowboys and the 49ers are going to meet. In the playoffs. I'm not looking forward to that matchup.
It's going to be a division. It's going to be a divisional playoff, and even though the Niners trail the Eagles by 2 games, let's stay with that. Niners trail the Eagles by 2 games. They lost 3 in a row. They went to a playoff team in Jacksonville and absolutely spanked them.
Right.
If that is not a signal that the 49ers are back and healed, because remember, they were minus Trent Williams for 2 games. They were minus Deebo Samuel for 2 games.
Right.
Now they're healthy. They add Chase Young, and they are very scary.
Yeah, that when I seen that trade come across my timeline, I'm like, oh wow. They're just digging in, and they're going to be in the mix every single year. Shanahan, I think he's a genius of a coach. I don't want to call him the quarterback whisperer, but he's almost that guy. When he's done with Purdy, he's almost that guy. So, the 49ers are going to be back there. I don't think they were ever out. Obviously, it's a long season. There's going to be injuries. There's going to be things that are going to happen. But they're definitely going to win that division. I don't see the Seahawks.
Nor do I.
And obviously, the Rams and the Cardinals, we know that they're in the dumpster of that division. And the 49ers are going to be right there. It's going to be 49ers. I think it's going to be 49ers, Eagles, and Lions. I don't believe in the Saints, so I'll throw the Cowboys in there. But as of right now,
I don't believe in the Saints either. I cannot and do not believe in the New Orleans Saints, because why did they compose the South divisions anyway? When it was the NFC West, it was Atlanta, New Orleans, San Francisco, and the Rams. That's it.
Yeah.
That was the NFC West. You had the East, the Central, and the West. And then they make up these South divisions. And then you have these teams believing they can be mediocre except when they go up against good teams. New Orleans played San Francisco and Santa Clara last year, got shut out.
Yeah. I don't think New Orleans is that. I don't think they're ready. Number one, and I don't think they're built to last the entire season.
Right.
So, yeah. But I mean, as of right now, the 49ers and the Cowboys will meet because that as of seeding right now. But obviously, still got the rest of the half of the season.
Yep.
But 49ers are going to be there. It's just a matter of, will the Cowboys be ready? Because I believe they're going to meet at some point.
And if it's in Santa,
not want to lose.
No,
you lost.
Yeah, and if it's in Santa Clara, that's a double disadvantage for Dallas because they already got spanked in Santa Clara.
Yeah, and that's that. If we look at a positive side of the Cowboys so far this year, they are excellent at home. But if you don't have home field advantage, you might as well mail it in because they cannot seem to battle or win games. I'm not gonna say they don't battle because they did battle against Philly, but they didn't win. And it's wins and losses that's going to make the difference.
Ben Sudduth III joining us here. He will join us every Friday morning, get you ready for the football weekend. And folks, don't forget, Saturday, big one, Neyland Stadium, Knoxville, Tennessee, 3 p.m. Eastern. We'll start our live stream. 3:30 is the kickoff. I'll have the call with Georgia at Tennessee here in studio. I can't wait for that one. Ben, as always, my friend, thank you so much. Very much appreciated.
Yep, no problem. Appreciate you. And we'll do it again next week.
We'll do it again next week. Thank you, brother.
All right, appreciate it.
Don't touch that dial. The picks are next after this.
Everything Boston. I love you morons. New Kids on the Block, New Edition.
Dear whatever the law firm is. Sincerely, the U.S. Supreme Court.
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Go yourself again, Jason Whitlock.
Join the transporter to Hades.
Your butt and gut becomes one.
Join the reformer of hooker whores.
This is my daughter, Placenta Booty Johnson.
Join the bronze car.
Whenever you are in distress, take off your baseball cap and throw it in the air.
Join your very own superhero of broadcasting, Chris Bass.
So whatever color crown they get, they palm it and do 2 circles, and that translates to, I can beat up black people.
As she takes you through the week's paces in Baseline. Live every Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central, Pacific Time Zone people, just stay asleep when this is on live and just catch the recording. Oh, I'm sorry. Exclusively on the Chris Bass YouTube channel. Ready to hang with some fellas who know football? Let's ride. LC Muscles 28.
I think they're the most overrated defense in the league.
Steel Sermon.
We did not trail for a single second.
Tiny Tim.
McCarthy is a bonehead.
A Pistol 90.
I'm going with my boys. Fins up, baby.
Get ready for the 4 Horsemen of Pick'ems. Every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central on YouTube.
Everything Boston. I love you morons. New Kids on the Block, New Edition.
Dear whatever the law firm is. Sincerely, the U.S. Supreme Court.
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Go yourself again, Jason Whitlock.
Join the transporter to Hades.
Your butt and gut becomes one.
Join the reformer of hooker whores.
This is my daughter, Placenta Booty Johnson.
Join the bronze car.
Whenever you are in distress, take off your baseball cap and throw it in the air.
Join your very own superhero of broadcasting, Chris Bass.
So whatever color crown they get, they palm it and do 2 circles, and that translates to, I can beat up black people.
As she takes you through the week's paces in Baseline. Live every Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central, Pacific Time Zone people, just stay asleep when this is on live and just catch the recording. Oh, I'm sorry. Exclusively on the Chris Bass YouTube channel. The following is a public service announcement from Wise El Jefe.
Boston.
This has been a public service announcement from Wise El Jefe. 'Cause we take this job so serious.
The is that? Sorry, pardon me. My apologies.
What in the all types of blue hell?
This is Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson.
Can I play that again? Yes? Okay, good.
Because we take this job so serious.
The is that? Sorry, pardon me. My apologies.
What in the all types of blue hell?
This is Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson.
Yes. What in the all types of blue hell is that? All right. 28 after the hour. We got a few minutes before Base shows up. Let's do it. It's time for our picks for week number 11. Can you believe we're at week 11 already? Doggone it. And the music is up too loud. I'm sorry about that. Let's do this. Let's go to Cleveland to start things off. Steelers at the Browns. It's a 1 p.m. kickoff Eastern time. Pick along with us. Our picks are presented by BetUS.com. BetUS.com, where the game begins. Cleveland favored by 1. Nah, I ain't going with that. Give me the Steelers, and I'm taking that point. Cardinals and Texans. Houston favored by 5. Also a 1 p.m. kickoff. I'm going to take the Texans, and I'm going to lay the points. C.J. Stroud, as far as rookies go, is him. End of story. I'm willing to bet he'll get 500 yards against the Cardinals if they allow him to play that long. I don't expect this to be close. San Diego goes to Green Bay to take on the Packers. Chargers are favored by 3. Y'all better cover this because I'm actually gonna trust the players to do this for me. Taking the Chargers and I'm laying the points. Let's go to Washington. Giants and the Redskins. Redskins favored by 9. Also a 1 p.m. kickoff. Do I lay the points here or do I take the points? What do y'all think? I hate leaves, says Ryan McCoffey. Ryan McCoffey with us. We'll go to the Fanatics feedback zone in just a moment. Do I lay the points with the Redskins? Yes. Sam Howell will get it done, and the Giants don't have a quarterback. Give me the Redskins, and I'm laying the points. Cowboys and Panthers. I don't know why I even put this on the slate. Cowboys are favored by 11. Yeah, go ahead and lay the points. It's an opponent they should beat because the Panthers have nothing going for them, especially Bryce Young at the quarterback position. Okay, Ryan, I know what your next comment is. Buccaneers and 49ers at 4:05 from Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara. All times are Eastern. I'm taking the 49ers, and I'm laying every one of those 12 points. They'll win by at least 2 touchdowns. Everybody's trying to hype up that Tampa Bay defense. That Tampa Bay defense remembers what Brock Purdy did to him last year. He's going to do it again this year, and he'll get 300 yards. There's my prop bet, one of my prop bets for the day. Seahawks and Rams, Sunday, 4:25 Eastern. I don't know why I put Sim there. I was in such a hurry in writing this. That's a pick 'em. Give me the Rams at home. And Playmaker, you'll be proud of me. To the Sunday night game, 8:20 Eastern time is your kickoff. Vikings at the Broncos. And would you look at that? The Denver Broncos are favored against Josh Dobbs and the Vikings. There's a problem. I don't trust Russell Wilson. I say Skol Vikings and take the points. And then, of course, the big one on Monday night, Eagles and Chiefs. 2.5-point favorites are the Chiefs. I'm taking the Chiefs, and I'm laying the points. 8:15 kickoff time from Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. And our last pick of the day goes to the Grey Cup. Winnipeg and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Montreal Alouettes. Winnipeg favored by 8.5 in this game. It's a 6 o'clock kickoff from Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton, Ontario. Do the Bombers bounce back after their Grey Cup loss last year, or do the Montreal Alouettes find a way to keep their unlikely playoff run going? Listen, Montreal played a great defensive game against Toronto in stopping Toronto, but I can say this unequivocally, Ain't no way they're gonna beat Winnipeg. Give me the Blue Bombers, and I'm laying the points. Those are our doggone it. I'm so far ahead of myself here. Give me the Blue Bombers, and I am laying the points. I'm laying all 8.5 of those points because Winnipeg is just flat better. Those are our picks for week number 11, including the Grey Cup. How do you make your picks for this week? Let's go into the Fanatics feedback zone while we have some time. Sick Diggy joins us, says, hold on to your stomachs, folks. The segment after the picks will be gut-busting hilarious. It sure is, and we're waiting on them to get here. And Sick Diggy greets everybody in the chat. Here's Ryan McCoffey. Good day, Snow Crew. Just finished with yard work. Also, I hate leaves. I think a lot of us do that live in the Midwest or in the East. Y'all don't want to see the leaves that are in my front yard. Victor Locke says, good morning, Mr. McCoffey. Also, homerpick.exe executing. You already know what my pick was. No wife pick this week because they are on a bye. The Indianapolis Colts are on a bye this week. So that's why no wife pick.exe. And now let's close up shop the right way. Hope y'all have enjoyed this Friday edition of Snowman in the Morning, but it is incomplete until now.
And now, the transporter to Hades, the reformer of hooker whores, and the bronze god, the one, the only, the legendary Chris Bay.
Whenever you hear that theme, you know the legendary Chris Bass is joining us as he does each and every Friday. Good morning, my brother. A pleasure to have you.
Good morning to you, Snowman. I call you Rain Man. Everybody calls you Snowman. I call you Rain Man. Ain't no you can do about that. So good morning to Rain Man. Of course, good morning to the mad scientist, it's Cole Johnson. Good morning to Wise All, or Wise Hefe, and all the boys and girls in the comment section here. Good morning. And a good morning, boom shakalaka to you.
All right, Bass. Let it loose. What you got?
All right, so I'm going to read this formally. I'm going to set the table for everything. So we all know this by now. The NBA has suspended Golden State Warriors forward Draymond Green for 5 games without pay for escalating an on-court altercation in Tuesday's contest with the Minnesota Timberwolves, the league announced Wednesday. Now, Green, one of 3 players ejected after the fight in the in-season tournament, I still know what the hell the in-season tournament is,
Me neither.
was suspended for forcibly grabbing Rudy Gobert around the neck in an unsportsmanlike and dangerous manner. This was a statement by NBA Executive President Joe Dumars. He also will lose $769,970 as a result of the suspension. This is his 5th career suspension.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when you go back and watch the tape, and we've seen it over and over again,
yep,
there really was no reason for what Draymond did. No,
Agreed.
Because when we look at the grab, and then he happens to take his other hand and push forward with the chin being in here inside the elbow and wants to get more force.
Right.
You could have taken him out. Honestly, he could have broken his larynx. You could have done something damaging. He's lucky that Rudy Gobert's not in the hospital, or dare I say, was a fatal move.
Right.
That type of stuff is the wrestling move, and everybody knows nowadays. Of course, it's a performance act, but in reality, you can really choke somebody out like that. You cut off their air supply, goes to the brain, cut off the oxygen, that'll be it. Now, things happen in the blink of an eye, and that could have been definitely a fatal move.
Yes.
I'm all for the fact that you want to create this image of being an enforcer. For people who understand basketball, you always have an enforcer, or maybe 1 or maybe 2 or more players who send the messages to the opposing team.
Yep.
Don't come in the hole. You're going to take that for a pick and things like that. And there used to be an artistry of having your roles.
Yeah.
Draymond Green has gone completely off. This is outdone. I think 5 games was light. I would like to see more like 8 to 10, to be honest with you. And
I
so
was thinking 10 games because I had a chance to look at the tape again. I spoke on it yesterday. I had a chance to really process it. 5 games is indeed light. Very, very light because as you mentioned, Base, that's fatal. That could have been so much worse than what happened. He's lucky that Rudy Gobert was able to walk away and point at him and things like that, and he was rightfully suspended in that game. I understand you're trying to protect your teammates and come to the aid of your teammates, but putting a guy in a headlock, that is not necessary for you, and especially a guy taller than you. No, not necessary at all. Uncalled for.
no, and it doesn't make any sense because again, I understand obviously about the Players Association and what you do to protect your players and things of that nature, but the 5 games is light. It should have been 10. It should have been at least 8 to 10, and that should have been it. Because 5 is nothing. 5, you go on vacation, kick your feet back. You're not going to miss the 600 or 7,000, 900 plus $, whatever. You can make that in your sleep. You can take a blink and you won't even miss it.
Right.
But if it was me, and I understand about trying to protect your players, if I'm the coach, if I'm Steve Kerr, I'm like, you know what? I've told you over and over again, watch your behavior because we can't have that. After the NBA benches, I would bench him myself.
Yes.
I would.
Yes.
But see, the NBA, you got that coming because less the league office. If the coach does, I think a little more searing. So if you got 5 games, I'm tacking on 5 more to make it 10.
Yeah. And
then
whatever
the 20 shall meet. Yeah, go ahead.
Whatever suspension you get from the NBA, I'll tack on the same number of games if I'm Steve Kerr with it to send a message. And Steve Kerr said he said it yesterday, I beg your pardon, that it was uncalled for and the 5 games was exactly what Draymond Green deserved. But the folks are chiming in the comment section. They're chiming in through our text line that it should have been. They agree with you. It should have been 10 games, and I'm saying it should have been 10 games. And I follow the Golden State Warriors as well as the Bulls and the Spurs. You have your moments, but that wasn't a moment you were supposed to have. Not at all.
No. And again, you watch these programs on the boob tube, as my older generation would call it. So I'm watching Screaming Nate Smith, and Jay Williams was on, and I like Jay.
Did you have your alcohol in the cup after watching?
No, I was sober. No, I was sober, and that's a damn shame on my part. I should have been drunk. Not promoting alcoholism, mind you.
Right.
So I'm watching Screaming Nate Smith and Jay Williams going back and forth on the same issue. And Jay Williams said even before the NBA office came down, he said it should be 10.
Yes.
Screaming Nate says at the time, well, he didn't punch Rudy Gobert, so there's no issue. So here's the thing. This is why, and please, I keep telling people, the reason why I harp on media, because I'm a media person myself in my own mind. I mean, I've been just doing this for 30 years, so I see other media people when they act a fool, and I just like, as you said, you fool, that type of thing. When you do, right. So you call them on it. So again, we know what the background of Screaming Nate Smith is. Just the fact you parked your mouth to say that, even in jest, I think was a completely ignorant statement. So fisticuffs is okay, but choking somebody that they give him a free pass. So I know what he was doing going back to Screaming Nate Smith to try to create a discourse. This is what they do to create these phony arguments. But just the fact you parked your mouth sideways to say that just because fists were not thrown, then nothing should happen to Draymond Green. It's like your DOD again. You're SOS. You're stuck on stupid and dangling on dumb. You're dangling on that precipice again. Because again, whether the fisticuffs or trying to take somebody out with a chokehold, it's still wrong. It's still wrong. So when you say dumb crap like that, it just furthers your argument that you gotta stop pitting these petty, phony, you take one side and I'll take the other side type of thing. It's not going to go anywhere, but I just don't really care for it. Now, when you make a statement like that, what does that lead? That leads, okay, we're going to excuse one, not the other. So again, you're dealing with that type of mentality from the standpoint of wrong is wrong. I say what's wrong is right. It's wrong. So let's deal with what we have here. Somebody jumping in, premeditated, to grab Rudy Gobert by the neck and put him in that headlock. And seeing, like, I don't know, I took martial arts when I was a kid.
Yes.
And so when you take that pressure point on the neck, again, you can damage the throat, you can break the larynx, you can break the windpipe if applied right. So in that fervor that Draymond Green had, again, I reiterate, it could have done serious damage to Rudy Gobert. Just the fact that he's putting his body weight and was leaning backwards, leaning, towards the floor, as we saw the videotape.
Yep.
This cannot be excused. I still say 5 is light. And not like I like the song said, I got 5 on it. And we put 10 on this one because it just should have been more of a more suspension to really get the message. As I said before, I think have Steve Kerr, I know you got to protect this player. I understand that. But if I told your ignorant ass over and over again, stop doing this, you keep on doing it, hard-headed, okay, I got to be daddy. I got to spank you. So let the league give you 5. I'll put 5 more on it. I mean, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Again, it's just to send the message further.
For me, that's how I would have handled it also. And as I said, Steve Kerr said that the 5-game suspension is very much warranted and should have, and he got the 5. I feel it should have, after looking at the tape, and I looked at it yesterday during the show before the outage happened here at the house, and then I had a chance to really look at it last night, process it, look at the situation and think about it. You could have dragged him away by the waist. You could have gotten in front of him and bumped him away. You had no business, no right, and no gall to leap on top of him, a 7-foot center, and apply a chokehold to him to get away from that, to get him away from that fracas. It should have been at least, I tack on 2 words, at least 10 games. It should have been at least 10 games because that is not tolerated. Again, Cole and I talked about this. Go back to 1977, Kermit Washington with that punch against Rudy Tomjanovich. You're bringing that image back. And the NBA has worked so hard to get away from that image. It's stuck in the memory of everybody that saw it, but you still got you still got everything beyond that to think about. And the backlash against the team is going to be crazy. They're now 1-5 at home, 6-7 overall. They've lost 5 in a row. 4 of those 5 have been at home. This is not what Golden State was looking for when they started 6-2, and now it's going to get even worse. If you thought the team psyche last year and them not being able to close games on the road is crazy, think about what's going on at home. 2 straight losses to the Minnesota Timberwolves, both at the Chase Center when you thought they were unbeatable there. And now their season is starting to CTD already. We haven't even hit Christmas. It's circling the drain.
I think, again, when you look at the role of enforcer from back in the day to now, and I think some of the young cats could learn from what the enforcer role entails. And once again, I remember seeing interviews with Joe Dumars, who happens to be a good personal friend of Draymond Green's.
Green, yeah.
Exactly. So here's a guy that has told him over and over again behind closed doors about his actions, everything else. And not only that, you're the vice president. So I know it's got to be difficult. We got to do your job. And so you got to take away the personal in that situation and take care of business. But like I said, it's always personal in some way, shape, or form. So
it is.
Just imagine Joe Dumars doing this to someone you've known since pretty much he was a kid to where he is now. You want the best for people, but if they don't have the best within themselves, it's just not going to come out right.
Cole Johnson joins us in the back chat. He says the hurdle these professional leagues have in handing down punishment is the risk of an appeal. That is so true. The only difference is, and Ryan pointed this out earlier as we dip back into the Fanatics feedback zone, the one thing the NHL does right is that repeat offenders get an increase in games suspended for their repeated offenses. That part they did get right. And since Draymond Green is a repeat offender, it should have been at least 10 games because, as I said earlier in the week, his reputation precedes him, and not the good reputation either. You know, you have two pieces of Draymond Green, the reputation of him being one of the leaders of the championship runs, and then you got this, and this is even preceding his championship reputation right now.
You don't want to ruin your legacy. And maybe in his mind, he's not ruining it. The thing about today is that these players, everybody else has the right to have their own platform. Everybody got a podcast. Everybody got a platform. They go on there and have their point of view. Nothing wrong with that. I think at the same time, there has to be, I would like to say, some intellectual judgment of yourself. And sometimes the word intellect gets lost in translation. So if you think of yourself as an A, B, and C, when really you're really X, Y, and Z, in reality, you have to have that reality check, whether it's from your teammates, your coach, or even your own family members. But you can be hard-headed and go on about your business. I'm later for them, man. You know, I'm going to do my thing. Your thing can be the detriment of who you are in the long run.
Right. Absolutely right. And it's a detriment to him right now, even though he's a 13-year veteran out of Michigan State, and he had that attitude at Michigan State, but it was quelled by Tom Izzo. And I had the pleasure of meeting Tom Izzo, very, very much a friend, and one of my favorite coaches that I've talked to. Steve Kerr had gotten Draymond Green under control, but then the incident started piling up. I say beginning in 2017. No, 16. I beg your pardon. 16 during the playoffs, his matchups with Steven Adams. And then, of course, what happened in the finals, they got him suspended for game 5 in the finals. That started that part of his reputation. And now with this, that puts the cherry on the sundae. It's gotten worse.
It has. And Golden State knows it. I understand about they're trying to protect their players and be one family under the sun, but not all family members get along.
Right.
It's just that simple. You know, you have family members like, man, get off me, man. I got time for you. And that type of thing. You know, you just don't, you know, you can't control who you're born family into. You know, there's family members, you know, you just don't like it, man. Get off me, man. I got time for you, man. Oh, come on, man. I got time for you, yes. And things of that nature, that happens. So that's how I would feel being around Draymond. You know, that's, I mean, as a team, I love you, but at the same time, I can't stand your yes. It's always just one of those things where I love to hate. I love the hate relationship. I love to hate. So that's how I would feel as a teammate in that situation. But again, they know they're dealing with organizational wise. I'm sure they had, of course, the conversation with him over and over again. But I think it's fallen on deaf ears, really. But again, what people need to realize is that, like an article I just read, it's not Draymond Green, it's Golden State Warriors Draymond Green. See, now you have somebody in front of you because you're a part of an organization representation-wise. So it goes along with the territory, but think about your actions. You could just broken up, separate the players and things like that, you know, get your guy chilled and everything else, and, you know, just give somebody the Heisman Trophy stiff arm, get away from here, but not to go in to try to take a smooth out. I can't co-sign it, never will. Can't do it.
No, I won't co-sign it either. Again, we go back to 1977, Kermit Washington versus Rudy Tomjanovich. That is the reason they've worked so hard to fix their image. Victor has a very, very good question. He says Draymond has been playing with fire for a while now. Do you think the Warriors are playing with fire by sticking with him? I'll allow you to answer that first.
I think they have no other choice right now. You got to write it out. And again, this is the same person who went after his own teammate. Was it Jordan Poole? A while back, you know, clocking him in the eye. So they stick with him. When you put up the numbers and the rebounds and do your job, you do your job. At the same time, they'll put up with it because he's become an integral part of, you said before earlier, the championship run. Trying to make another run for the championship as always do. So he ain't going nowhere as far as I know yet. So you got to stick it out. I think behind the scenes could be different, but in front of the camera and everybody else, you know, we are family.
Yeah, I agree with that. They have been, to borrow the late great Jim Durham, they've been flirting with fire for a long time with Draymond Green, but Draymond Green just kind of integrated himself as one of the most integral parts of this championship run. If you go back to 2022, the first 5 games of the finals, he did nothing. Game 6, he hit a 3-ball out of the corner in the midst of a 21-0 run, which in a weird way cemented his legacy, even though it was already there. The last 2 seasons, something like this happened. He punched straight Jordan Poole, which led to him departing Golden State for Washington, and now Poole is suffering in Washington. Meanwhile, Draymond Green again cost himself some games by, let's just call a spade, being stupid.
Yeah, you can't help it. So if you're stupid, you're stupid. It's just one of those things where you can't get out of your own way in that situation. So yeah, we'll see what happens with the brother, but it just doesn't look good at all. So I want to take another a polar shift because I take this personally coming up. So for those who know me, I love pizza. I've been loving pizza since I can remember, since being born.
Yeah,
and a classic sausage pizza is like my favorite of all time. So it depends on, of course, where you go, whether it's deep dish or thin crust, cutting the squares or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this guy on viral video. His name is David Portnoy, and then he does these barstool pizza reviews. So he's been like in the East Coast and here in the Midwest. I think there's some stuff out in the West, but mostly East Coast area. He's from, I think, from New York and New Jersey area, and he gets on there. You know, his thing is a one bite. Everybody knows the rules. Takes one bite, and he's doing the reviews. He stands in front of the pizza place he's got the pizza from, and then rates it on a scale from 1 to 10 or whatever. It could be 5 points in between, whatever. So I'm checking them out, and this I know it's a silly conversation, but let's go there for a second.
Yes, please.
This man says that the middle of the pizza is trash. Are you out of your skull? I've heard some stupid stuff in my life. I've heard stupid stuff in my life. How can you stand there reviewing pizza and saying that the middle part of the pizza is trash? It's pizza.
Exactly.
You can't go wrong with pizza. He's from the Jersey area. Well, I'll say East Coast area. I don't know exactly where he's from, but look at the triangle slices. And so like the triangle slices thin, undercarriage, and a little burnt. And they'll take the bite and everything and bite the crust and gives a rating.
Yep.
So if it's cutting the squares, like coming from Chicago, we've had that style since I can remember. The deep dish with the thin cut into squares is like our thing and beyond. So having said that, middle pieces don't matter. If the pie is good, the pie is good. I'm not going to sit there and just eat around the middle slices. Look, some people like the middle slices, period. But to make a stupid-ass comment that the middle is trash, are you out of your skull? It's pizza. It tastes the same around and inside. Now, with the exception of the crust outside, obviously, it's pizza. But just to make a dumbass comment that the middle is trash, I'm done. So based upon his stupid ass, I've considered doing my own pizza review on Baseline. I'm heavily considering it.
Do it.
I'm heavily considering it. Yeah.
I'll be in Chicago next month to cover the Spurs and the Bulls. Friday, December 21st. I'm planning to make that a 2-day trip because I want to bring Jody up there, and I made her a promise. I didn't get a chance to do it the weekend of the Chicago Classic because we left that morning, and then after all the BS went down at Soldier Field and we got done with the game, we just peeled out and came home. I'm going to bring Jody up to Chicago and possibly make it a 3-day weekend, and I want to feed her. I want to feed her some pizza. I want to feed her some pizza, whether it's Giordano's, whether it's Lou Malnati's, Beggars, whatever. All of my favorite pizza places. We're hitting them all. All my favorite food places, because hey, you can't go wrong with food in Chicago. All right. When I was going through all kinds of hell, that's how I survived. That's how I survived. When I had a chance to hang out with Victor and Jermail and my buddy James McCallum when we were up there for the Chicago Football Classic, and I think that story and a half needs to be told here. Do you know when it was hot that day? It was broiling hot. Jody was on the verge of passing out. I'm trying to hustle up some water. Do you know they tried to charge a media person, I borrowed from you, Base. They tried to charge me $7 for a bottle about this big.
I believe it.
And my entire crew is sitting there going, what? Fortunately, the security guard had a cold water bottle in his backpack. I gave it to Jody, looked at the ladies, and I said, can she please have a chair? Do I need to mention the cross look they gave me?
Yeah.
Do I need to mention the cross look they gave me? Because my wife was in danger. Period. My crew told me, take care of Jody. We got the rest of this.
Right.
It took them 2.5 hours to open the gate. Apparently there was something wrong with the gate. Jody's already exhausted because it was hot. Okay.
Right.
Man, she was on the verge of passing out. I'm dealing with type 2 diabetes, so I'm on the verge of passing out. And yet I'm hustling through all the gates trying to just grab some water for her. The snacks were free. They were charging for the water.
Yes.
We got the water. They got the gate open, and we go in. It's nice and cool. She's sitting down. I'm sitting down. And this is one of the first times I'll expose this part of the story. Do you know the cross looks that Jody and I were? Anybody who has seen Jody and I knows the very stark difference between us outside of height. Do you know the looks? Do I need to describe the looks we were getting when we walked in Soldier Field?
Yeah, because you can still have racist people out here. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
They can't take it.
I mean the looks were. Victor told me this part. Victor told me this part of it, and I didn't know because I'm tending to my crew. I'm as CEO. I'm tending to my crew. As a husband, I'm tending to my wife.
Of course.
Power 92 was there, and I still don't know how that station got started. And I lived in Chicago. I still don't know how that station came to be. Power 92 was there. They were doing a raffle, and every like 2 to 3 minutes, the leader of the raffle would say something. They see me and Jody walk by with my crew, and we were all in polos. All right, we were ready.
Mm-hmm.
And the silence roared. Man, when Victor told me that, I laughed my head off. I said, they are so jealous.
Yeah.
And the coup de grace of this jealousy. In the booth, it's halftime. I'm exhausted. My crew's having a great time, but I had to concentrate on the first half of the game, getting all the players. I'm glad I have my tablet there with me to get the rosters and everything, and that'll be a separate episode. Jody comes behind me and starts massaging my shoulders. Do I need to say anything else?
Well, no, because you know that it's not about them; it's about you and your wife, and your crew, and again, they can go back to hell, the rest of them, because again, you're dealing with ignorance and dealing with people who don't understand that love is love,
yes,
and love has no color.
Yes.
But when you put color and everything into it, you ruin love, and that's where the conversation goes split into different directions. Because love is blind. Not the same thing against people who unfortunately can't see from the standpoint, you can't help who you fall in love with. You can't help who you're around and be with because you find a synergy, you find something in common, whether it's being with someone as a husband and wife, or relationship, or friends or family. There's something about that person or persons that it's a connectability. But yet people out there who don't understand it or want to understand it and really none of their business. So for you guys to get the side eye, that's them. They ain't got to do with you two. That's them. They the one got the problem.
We had a great time. Jody took a lot of pictures along the lake at Soldier Field. She was taking pictures of me when I was driving in. We were getting the parking passes and everything. And she's now officially in my company, our social media mistress. Whenever we have trips like that, so she's going to take a lot of pictures. She did it in Indianapolis when we went there a couple times. She's involved in my company, and people don't understand because when I met Jody, I was on the verge of ending my life before I met her. And I never told this part of the story of my meeting Jody. I will tell it here as we close up on Friday.
Sure.
I was going to end it. I was homeless in Michigan City. I didn't think anybody cared. And it was right around my birthday. I saw her smile. I said, well, maybe let me step back from the cliff. And then the first time I called her and I was doing a game in Chesterton, I put the phone to my ear. I was in sequence. I heard her giggle and I was a goner. I heard her giggle and I was a goner. And since then, it's been 5.5 wonderful years with my Dr. K. And this is 5.5 of many. Love is absolutely blind. Love has no color and love has no conditions. And when you are loved unconditionally by the one that was chosen for you, because she was chosen for me. I truly believe that. She was chosen for me. There ain't nothing a man can do when you have that kind of love and support.
Well, let me tell you this. Not saying it happened to you, but I'm just saying just from my own personal experiences. This is when you know that your partner, whoever it is, whether around you, loves you. When they pick up your drawers off the floor, when they do that without a hitch, without a judgment, without they see your drawers on the floor. Now your drawers on the floor for every reason. It's none of my business.
Right.
None of this whatsoever. It's your house, your drawers. If your drawers on the floor and your significant other sees it and picks it up and puts it in the trash, or not put it in the trash, depending on what hopefully you didn't get still what you draw. Let's look at all that. So you pick up the drawers and you put it in the hamper to be washed, and then go about their merry way. To me, that's when love comes into play. They love you and they love your drawers so much, they pick up your drawers off the floor.
She'll just give me the finger point and joke around with me. She'll go, "Mister, I'm not picking this up again." 2 minutes later, she's like, "Oh man," and she'll pick it up.
Pick up your drawers off the floor.
Indeed.
I'm telling you, that's the game changer. That's the game
changer.
It
is. Oh, there's a lot of game changers when it comes to love. And Jody, my beautiful Dr. K, has met every single one of them. That's the legendary Chris Bass, who joins every single Friday. Y'all know it's fun. This segment will be up on the YouTube page in the Boom Shakalaka section. Thank you, my brother, so very much. Another legendary, entertaining Friday with you. I love you and thank you again.
It ain't a damn thing to do about it now. I love you more and love everybody. Thank you for being a part of this. And let me be myself again. Always check me out tomorrow morning. And that's, of course, the time. That's 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central. Pacific time is 5. People sleep on the West Coast. Let them sleep. So you check it out, Baseline. Go to my YouTube channel, the Chris Bass channel on YouTube. Gave you the times. We're on for 2 hours. Sometimes we go past and go overtime. And once again, I'm thinking about doing this pizza segment. I'm telling you, that insulted me, that rat bastard. Anyway, so I might do a pizza segment coming up. You never know. Go tell 5 of your friends and 18 of your enemies that Baseline will be in the air. I promise.
I can't wait to see it. Thank you, Bass. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
And now, the transporter to Hades, the reformer of hooker whores, and the bronze god, the one, the only, the legendary Chris Bass.
Thank you to everyone in the region, across the nation, and around the world. And thank you especially to those in the Pacific Northwest area from KSOS in Salem, Oregon, and All Points in the Pacific Northwest, one of our newest stations, and KSHP in Las Vegas, Nevada. Thank you all for joining. One final dip into the Fanatics feedback zone. Ryan McCarthy says 18 of my enemies. I won't repeat the last one. And oh man, it has been an absolute blast. Even though we started late, we ended on a fabulous note, as we always do. Don't forget, tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern time, college football now is here. It's Georgia, it's Tennessee. From Neyland Stadium in Knoxville, yours truly will have the alternative play-by-play call. And Grey Cup 110, teaming with Ryan McCarthy of No Credentials Required. That is a 6 p.m. kickoff. We'll be up at 5:45 with the fan chat and the pregame show. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Have a great weekend. God bless. Remember to make your next move your best move. And always remember, if your dreams don't scare you, they are simply not big enough. Dream big, do bigger. We are, and we hope y'all are too. And within the next 2 years, this little company called Snowman Multimedia that thinks they never could will turn over $1 billion in profits. I guarantee it. We're out of here. We love you, and we'll see you Monday.